Alright guys, this is Jerningham here. Germany has allowed 400,000 people focused into lockdown after COVID-19 outbreak in Germany again. So we're going to listen to what the news guy says in Germany.
We start with breaking news. Germany has ordered a district of almost 400,000 people back into lockdown amid a widening coronavirus outbreak. This after Germany's top health experts warned that the new cluster of cases had the potential to spread quickly. Word of the new restrictions came from Armin Laschet, premier of the country's most populous state, North Rhine-Westphalia. The new outbreak is centered on a massive meat processing plant, Tönnies, near the city of Gütersloh. More than 1,500 workers there have tested positive for coronavirus. Laschet says police deployments will be used to ensure the home quarantines of thousands of Tönnies employees with force, if necessary.
In the district of Gütersloh, we're now dealing with the biggest individual infection outbreak in North Rhine-Westphalia and in Germany. The specific situation with the geographical spread of locations and also the international nature of the Tönnies workforce mean that this outbreak is a potentially enormous pandemic risk. The mechanism agreed between the federal and local governments does not require widespread measures in the case of clearly localized infections. However, we will now, for the first time in Germany, return a whole region to the lockdown measures that were in place a few weeks ago.
Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Nina Hase, who's followed that story. Nina, what exactly does that now mean for the people in that region?
The regional authorities in North Rhine-Westphalia did hesitate for a while because it is, of course, a big step to place an entire district under lockdown again. So at first what they did was to close the plant where that outbreak happened last week. Then they closed schools and kindergartens also last week. But now Armin Laschet, who we just saw, said that it was vital to place the entire district of Gütersloh under lockdown. And that means that some 360,000 people are affected. That lockdown will be in place at least until next week, when they hope to have more information about how the virus has spread exactly. It means that people can no longer go to pubs or cinemas, museums. Everything that was reopened is now being closed again. They can't exercise indoors. And the workers who've been placed under quarantine, they will be supplied with essential goods by authorities.
Well, Armin Laschet, the state premier, used some quite robust language there. How will the regional government there enforce these measures?
We're talking about some 7,000 workers from that Tönnies meat processing plant and their families who have been placed under quarantine. And Armin Laschet, you said it, he said he's going to deploy the police to make sure that the quarantine measures are adhered to, that people do stay indoors, and that the police can use force to actually impose those measures if necessary, because of course they need to carry out tests, and some of the population there has not been so willing to be tested for the virus.
Well, the new lockdown comes after more than 1,500 workers at a slaughterhouse near Gütersloh tested positive for COVID-19. Let's have a brief look at how this whole story has developed.
Police, medics, and even the fire department have descended on the town of Reda-Wiedenbrück to help stem a wave of coronavirus infections. Over 1,500 employees from the Tönnies meatpacking plant have tested positive for COVID-19, many of them foreign workers from Eastern Europe who live and work in dire conditions. Local activist Inge Burgschnieder has been protesting the situation for years. She takes us to a building where 13 Romanian factory employees lived until recently. It's only 10 days, 14 days at most, since they left this place. Inside, a pungent smell greets us. Mold covers the walls. Many of the Eastern European meat workers live in such dismal conditions. Most locals were aware of the situation, but said nothing. Inge Inge Burgschnieder was different, even organizing protests.
Vor diesem Haus haben wir
We
schon
demonstrated in front of this house in December 2018. This house is notorious.
lange bekannt.
Andre, not his real name, worked at the Tönnies plant for 2 years for a subcontractor. The worst thing about it was the working hours. We began at 1 in the afternoon and finished at 1 in the morning. Overtime work was not paid. Andre has since quit. After the coronavirus outbreak at the Tönnies plant, authorities fear the virus will spread to the rest of the city's population, and maybe even beyond. I'm worried, and it feels like we're losing control of the situation. We don't know what is going to happen next. It's frightening how the coronavirus has swept into our area. We're afraid they'll close everything down here.
Wir befürchten, dass doch hier alles stillgelegt wird.
Ich finde es eigentlich
It's unbelievable,
unglaublich
frightening,
und,
scary.
beängstigend und erschreckend.
The Tönnies meatpacking plant has already shut down. The pandemic has exposed problems that Inge Burgschneider has been trying to draw attention to for years. But only now are authorities paying serious attention to the meat workers' plight.
Nina, that's a local situation there, but if we look at the bigger picture in terms of the whole of Germany, what do people need to prepare for? Is this the beginning of a second wave already?
Gütersloh is located in Germany's most populous state, North Rhine-Westphalia. Some 17 million people live there. Of course, there's a lot of commuting between cities, and the authorities simply can't be sure that the virus hasn't spread and that the lockdown will be enough to make sure that the local outbreak really does stay only that, a local outbreak. And the president of the leading public health agency, the Robert Koch Institute, Mr. Wieler, said this morning that there is a risk of a second wave here in Germany, that he is optimistic that it can be prevented, provided that people do still adhere to all the necessary measures, like keeping their distance and adhering to hygiene, etc. But of course, that will be the big challenge for the coming months for the authorities, to make sure that people adhere to those rules while the numbers are still low, to still maintain that sense of urgency that the virus is still here.
Nina Hazel, thank you. And here are some other developments in the global pandemic. The World Health Organization says the number of global coronavirus infections has now topped 9 million. North and South America account for more than half of the new cases. India's hospital system has started to buckle under the weight of new COVID-19 cases. The country reports more infections per day than any country besides the United States and Brazil. Spanish authorities have reimposed lockdown measures in some northeastern cities after new clusters of infections emerged. This within days of Spain lifting a nationwide state of emergency. And for the first time in 75 years, world leaders will not be coming to New York for the annual United Nations General Assembly. The September meeting will instead be conducted virtually with mostly pre-recorded speeches.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video, guys. Give it a like, give it a comment, and girls. And I shall catch you in the next video. Thank you for joining me. Peace. And I'm just trying to think what it said. The Germany outbreak. Let's see. I think it was like 400,000, I think. Anyway, see you in the next video. Peace.